Hola Bessies, bienvenidos a mi canal. Today I'm going to tell you about a trip that we took, and this is 3 hidden treasures that are near Bogotá. I'm super excited for this because these are places that are kind of out of the way and not necessarily easy to find, but definitely worth going to because the views are beautiful. The trip itself is pretty amazing, and it was very exciting for me because I personally love going to see new things. I love being able to explore more of Colombia, and I definitely enjoy getting away from the city and getting a chance to see other things, specifically like nature, the different views, the mountains, stuff like that. So here you go, and I hope you enjoy. So the first place that I want to talk about is this absolutely beautiful waterfall that we went to go see. It was kind of a longer drive, a longer trip. I want to say probably about like 2 hours or so, maybe 3. But I went with the whole family. So it was my wife, my mom, and her dad. And it was an incredible trip. Just taking the trip in the car and seeing like the views of like the mountains, going up and down the mountains on the road and everything like that was really, really pretty. I spent most of the trip talking to my wife and just describing everything that I was seeing out through the windows, like how beautiful absolutely everything was. There were a couple of viewpoints that we stopped at on the way where you had like these absolutely amazing panoramic views of like the mountains and the valleys down below. So it was just one of those things that kind of took my breath away. When we first got there, one of the first things that you notice is a hydroelectric plant that they have set up, and you can actually see water coming from down the side of the mountain for the hydroelectric plant, which was really, really cool. A lot of mountains and everything. It was a long, rough hike. It's not an easy hike. It's very narrow paths, very rocky paths and everything like that. Luckily for us, we picked up a tour guide, and I'm sure you're gonna see him in the video, the little fuzzy guy with the wagging tail. He followed us for the entire trip. He went all the way for probably about 2 hours worth of hiking to the waterfall, went down with us by the waterfall. He was an excellent tour guide. So happy we picked him up. I was just completely just beside myself with it. I adored him. And it was one of my favorite parts of the trip. I talked about it the entire way home. Now, when you finally see the waterfall, there's all these little signs that like post up and show you kind of the path that you're supposed to take. But when you can finally break through and get over the top of the hill and see the water coming down the side of the mountain, the waterfall, it's incredible. I've seen a couple of waterfalls before, usually very small ones. This one to me was like pretty huge, and just the way that everything looked, the rocks, the water coming down the side of the mountain, looking down at the river below. I was so excited that I just kind of like took off all the way to the edge to get like as close to the waterfall as possible. And by the time I got down there and turned around and saw the rest of the family, they were still all the way back at like the end of the path. And I was like, oh my goodness. Because I just wanted to get closer to it. But it was such a beautiful view and such a great experience. After the waterfall, we went on to our second hidden treasure, which was Laguna Verde. It's about an hour away from where the waterfall was, another hour drive. And the roads to get there were kind of difficult. They're very narrow, very steep, just rough roads, not finished roads at all. But driving through them and driving up and down the mountain was absolutely gorgeous. It is very out of the way, it's very hidden, and you have to pay very close attention to the signs on the road to make sure that you're taking the right way to get up there. And there are a few times that you honestly think that like maybe I'm not headed in the right direction, and then you'll go and you'll see another sign where it's like Laguna Verde, like 11 kilometers. So it was a fun trip, and funnily enough, we weren't even able to make it all the way in the car. About the last 20 minutes, we had to get out and hike to try to find it. Now, like I said, the last 20 minutes on our way to go find Laguna Verde, we actually had to get out of the car, and my wife and I, and we hiked the rest of the way. It was a little bit of a rougher road, so we stayed on the road as we were hiking, but at the same time, like the nature all around you, the beauty of the scenery, you can hear the birds, it's just, there's something very magical that kind of takes you out of reality when you're taking a hike like that, where you find this deep feeling of like inner peace and warmth inside of you. It's one of the reasons that I love being out in nature like that. And I love sharing those experiences with my wife, because we are both very much alike when it comes to that. We love being outside. We love these kind of places. And just walking down this path, hiking down this path and talking with her was just so much fun. And it was so amazing. And it's one of those experiences I would never trade for anything, and I will always remember. Now, Laguna Verde is very hidden away. If you're not paying attention, you can actually walk right by the path that leads you down there. But as you can see in the video, it is majestic, it is beautiful, it is glorious, it is very much a hidden treasure. Like when you find it, you get this sense of like, I've discovered something that is just incredible. And then you start to wonder like how many other people have discovered it. There is this really wonderful Muisca legend that goes along with it, where they believe that ancient Muiscas used to offer treasures to the lake, so much so that at one point in history, they actually tried to drain the lake to see if they could find the treasures. And just as they were about to finish, a huge storm came along and refilled the entire lake. At that point, they realized we're not messing with this. There is a higher power that is keeping us from taking these treasures out. Now, the third of the hidden treasures that we went to was a reservoir. It's El Guavillo. It is absolutely stunning because you start to see it while you're driving back down the mountains. And the color of the water is like this miraculous aqua blue. It's not something that you see very often in lakes or in rivers. It's this absolutely gorgeous color. When you're driving through and you see this, it's like you stop for a moment and you're like, wow, like it kind of blows your mind a little bit because it's not something that you're used to seeing. But taking this trip and starting to see it, like we stopped a couple of times at like different openings and like the trees and everything from the top of the mountain just to get a better view of it. And at that point, you're already excited. Like you just want to get to it and get a closer look. Now, when you actually do get down to the reservoir and are able to walk around, it is absolutely beautiful. It's super vast. You can see so much water. There is a little port there with a lot of different boats, and they do offer like boat tours or ferry rides across the reservoir and everything. We didn't actually go on that because it was already closed down. The tours and the boat rides were closed down by the time we got there at the end of the day. But just being able to walk around and see the scenery and the view from actually down at the reservoir or looking back up at the mountains or looking at the other side of the reservoir was very, very special. It's definitely something that, like, if you love nature or you love being outside, this is the kind of thing that you would definitely enjoy. And I feel like not enough people get the opportunity to just go and embrace that part of the world anymore. Especially when they think about going to places like Colombia, they think about places like the beach or the cities, but there is so much more to the country. Now, after taking this trip and finding these 3 hidden treasures in Colombia, it just really solidified for me the idea that there is so much more to this country that people realize, and there's so much more that this country has to offer than people know. That's part of why I'm doing these videos, is I want to show off more of what Colombia has to offer. I want to show off more of what the people have to offer. And I really want people to see that, like, their thoughts and their ideas of this country might be completely wrong. The nature that you find there, the views that you find there, the environment that you find there is so incredibly beautiful and gorgeous and amazing. And I love every moment that I am back in Colombia, every moment that I am home. So hopefully you guys enjoy and liked the video, and I will see you all next time. Ciao, Bessie.